Now, the Sonic Hedgehog game which was supposed to be the franchise reboot. Sonic the Hedgehog, 2006. The year isn't entirely. It's just also to separate from the original release. But I guess how broken it was realized and the plan didn't work out. But in this case, I know that it was rushed because it is easier to stumble on info about this game rushed development, or at least mentions about it. And with that, maybe I didn't need to play, or play fan-made version, which wouldn't be a review on an official game. But what is done is done. However, I didn't finish it. It isn't the game's fault. Or is it? Well, while playing this game, the controller started to have more and more problems. For example, the button started to get stuck. And I now try to fix the problem, but by disassembling the controller, I didn't manage to reassemble the controller correctly. So it looks like I can't finish the game, and it happened while I couldn't pass the Omega section in Dusty Desert Shadows campaign, and it annoyed me. One of the reasons is Omega can't deal damage to an enemy if Omega is close to it. And that is in a zone where platforms can disappear, and under them there is battle speed. Well, maybe I have different kind of control to play the game, but I'm not sure about it, at least for this game, so I don't think I'll finish the game. Because I have scheduled videos, then maybe I could order a controller and wait for it so I could continue playing this game. But I don't have enough money, and when I will receive money, then probably I will need to wait for it after the holidays. So probably I will need to wait for it a controller in 2026. And before the controller problem, I checked out a little bit of Silver campaign. Other than that and other difficulties, especially in boss or I guess in rival bosses, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Of course there are still problems with too many loading screens, but on a better system they don't stay for too long. Well, of course when playing the game more and more, then more and more problems appear. And in gameplay footage there might be visual bugs from how I play the game. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 was developed by Sonic Team and published basically for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. I played the Xbox 360 version. Under the PlayStation 3 version didn't work correctly.
I'm afraid our little game ends now.
Well, of course there are 3 campaigns, and all of them are hedgehogs, and only one is completely different playstyle. But about it in the gameplay chapter. This time I won't share the premise of each campaign, at least separately. Then again I don't know the overall premise. Mainly there are multiple antagonists, so I'm not sure where to start with the premise. And of course one of the antagonists is Eggman, who lost some faked off screen. Good for him, who tries to kidnap Solanas princess Alice. And of course in that case Sonic needs to keep the princess safe or save the princess. It's not copying the Plumper game, isn't it? I don't see any copying done here. Okay, there is something similar to the Plumper game. Just saving princess thing or keeping the princess thing is similar. But that's not all. Like Ellie's can cry because some kind of flame will be realized when she cries. And there is someone who wants Ellie's to cry, and I guess Ravel was like the Veron was evil. Oh wait, wrong franchise. Normally I don't mention voice actors, but as someone who has watched Yu-Gi-Oh! I could recognize my fearless voice actor Dan Green, and his take reminded me of Yami Yoki from Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyways, back to the game. Of course, my fearless wants to erase the Grey, and it's by having someone try to kill Sonic in his place. And of course there is time travel involved in the story, which also plays part in the conclusion of the story. I won't say more. That might be already be too much of a spoiler. In theory, the story is interesting, but here and there are some weird or bad stuff. Like the kissing scene. From the outsider perspective, like completely from a different world, that may look immoral to us, if not illegal, but that could be fine in their world. Like in the world of anthropomorphic animals, we can't assume the laws are the same as they are in our worlds. And also our aging works, not just for animals but also for humans. I think now, at least to this point of the franchise. At least I haven't noticed it. And it only applies to games. Or it was just a bad implementation. Okay, I butchered it properly. Well, as the story ends, then for the story you could skip the game, but for the gameplay, because of how broken the game is, of course it is skippable. But more about it, of course, in the gameplay chapter. Like in the story chapter I said, there are 3 campaigns, and all of them are Hedgehog campaigns. And only one is a completely different playstyle. However, there are more than 3 playstyles, and of course some are shared between the campaigns, or at least all with some difference. Of course, because the game is called Sonic the Hedgehog, then of course there is Sonic campaign. This is of course is fast-paced platformer, but that's not all. There are some stages that are split into 2 different kinds of sections. One of course is a regular platform section, but the other is much speed section, or max speed section, which I think it is auto-runner where you need to avoid obstacles, and when you hit a wall you lose rings. And when you jump in max speed section, you can't move while you are in jump, unlike how it is in regular platformer section. These things annoy me. Thankfully, it isn't the same with the platformer section. Well, that's only about losing rings, and You still get slowed down and get evidence when eating apple, and you can't control your jump and platformer section. And of course there are new mods, which are based on its upgrades, but that doesn't apply just to Sonic but to other characters, which I will talk about when I'll talk about the character. For example, Sonic now can go on the water and it's by sliding. Now the campaign, which is unlocked as dirt, but more or less is the same as Sonic campaign, is of course Shadow campaign. For doesn't have much max speed sections, thankfully, but also is lost the ability to use weapons from the previous games, unless when using the guns. One of his new abilities, or I guess returned ability, but can be done every time in this game, is Chaos Speed, which just paralyzes enemies. Another one of his new abilities is teleporting to an enemy when our main attacking to it. Of course, Shadow can also against, which are better, but it still varies by situations. If the Perkins is better to use, or just running is better. That is if you can choose. Lastly, the last campaign, one of the least playstyle, okay, that doesn't sound right, is a non-character, which is of course Hedgehog, Silver the Hedgehog. By the way, you play as Silver a little bit in other campaigns. Which isn't speed-based Hedgehog, but using psychic powers, like holding objects which might or may not include enemies, and then sending them, and also floating, but then it isn't as powerful as it is shown in cutscene. So it just breaks immersion, and maybe other stuff. By the way, even though this game was released on consoles with more buttons, for example, for face buttons, if this right terminology, Sonic Team returned to using only the face buttons for most of the abilities, like the face buttons don't do anything. Come on, you had 4 buttons to work with, but you chose to register everything, only 2 buttons, and of course with that the game does the wrong actions, and there isn't an option to change what the button does, like how it does in Sonic Adventure games, which I had forgotten when playing those games for the wheels. But of course, if needing to react does, then changing buttons actually won't do any help. Now back to playstyles. Of course, other playstyles are flying, gliding, and we did treasure hunting, but with that rather. But the objects to find aren't randomized, and of course other playstyles. However, those are only for short sections of levels, or maybe it was just one short level for the playstyle. But these characters don't have any purchasable upgrades. However, the game isn't right into the stage because the game returns to a vault, from which you can access not just stage but also challenges, where you can buy upgrades. They are mandatory and optional challenges, and the Sonic campaign starts with you needing to do a challenge, so you can pay a like place to access the weird stage. However, at least while doing the story, some stages aren't accessible from the vault. They are immediately after previous stage or boss fight. There are also medals, silver medals to find everywhere, and you get at least some gold medals by completing stage and boss fights.
Those enemies seem to be protecting that cage for some reason. I've got to defeat them first.
guess I'll just share what problems and annoying stuff that game is, which I encountered. Maybe I'll save my drugs, but I think it mostly will be problems and annoying stuff. And of course in no specific order, like it won't be in the same order as I encountered them. And at the end of the chapter there will be miscellaneous stuff, which isn't a lot, so a separate chapter found for them. I'll start which doesn't impact the game much, and it's a story, it just doesn't show what you already blocked. Because I play the game casual, then I didn't notice weird stuff with physics. Only when playing stealth, when the camera angle was changed, which made controls instantly to change, and then tails went up the wall. Or like when the camera angle changed, then the controls immediately changed. For example, it is bad when snowboarding. When the camera angle changed, then the snowboard, because of change the controls, instantly stops. And once the angle changes, then it's hard to tell what the control is to move it forward. Speaking about snowboarding, jumping is finicky with that. At the end of the snowboarding section, there is one jump that you need to. At least it was hard to tell the time for how long to hold and when to release the button. Well, about upgrades, there are some upgrades that don't do anything. Overall, the boss fights are fine, but for some there are problems like needing to wait for even reaching the boss. Or there's attack without warning, unless your lock is damage shorts, which you won't because you fall lock towards the boss that comes from somewhere else than the boss, and maybe others. About the silver fight, because I know about it before and then it wasn't bad in the Sonic campaign. Of course there were still difficulties, especially the artificial difficulty when silver can spam the attack. However, even with info from outside of the game and from beating silver in Sonic campaign, it was more difficult in the Shadow campaign. Because in the Shadow campaign, the arena is more placed where the fall is in short distance, and with it, silver is an easier time to spam the attack. Plus, I noticed it waits for you to fall to the ground where you will be landing, if it sends you in the air, and with it is another situation where silver can spam the attack. And from little playing as silver, he isn't as powerful playable character as he is as boss or rival player. Maybe there are upgrades that make silver to be closer to that, but even in other campaigns after the boss fight, he isn't as powerful playable character as it was shown in the boss fight. Or I just didn't learn how to play as silver. In some instances, I was divided when I should do at 8 frames. Sure, there are trails to grind in this game, but then there isn't trail switching. Okay, in this instance, I found out someone said it was planned but wasn't implemented. Well, I get info from second-hand source. Still, there are cases where the trail doesn't let you go, and which might be the same as with walls when playing as Knuckles or Rock. I noticed when I play as Rock, the wall didn't let me go. I guess the wall wanted to have Rock for itself. It seemed like touch panels removes the controls from you. Because of that, in some situations, I couldn't avoid hitting a wall. In some cases, it was difficult to figure out the depth, and with it, I lost a life. My falling in bottomless pit. Now, this game continues to ask you to slow down in a fast platformer franchise. And it's by asking you to defeat enough enemies to unlock stuff. Now some problems with some stage from the game. In the flame code, Balan can suddenly stop working. In the tropical jungle with flower sink, there is only a small window where you can jump. In Shadow's Kingdom Valley or something like that, in the Overcraft section you can die from one and it's by having a bolting fall on you. And it was hard to tell where you need to go when boltings are falling. The Omega situation there is a room with a bottomless pit and a locked door, and enemies that fall unlock the door after defeating them, appear when you are over the bottomless pit, where the platforms go away in the fall. And when you go to the save platform where those enemies are, then it's too close for Omega, and then you can't defeat those enemies. Of course, there are a lot of loading screens, but because I had better system than it is super fast. There was a problem with Shadow not being in a collider, but that's because it was an emulator problem. Which still happens to this day. At first it worked once by holding quite while the game was loading, but after it, I couldn't do it again. And then in one instance, pressing the button which enters into a backends worked, which before and didn't seem to be working. And of course this game reintroduced plays again, and of course with impacts to the but little was shared. But maybe with connecting plays to Rush games, but our it in plays no Sonic, but didn't interact with him. Before stuff that might connect to Rush games. Well, just the with Sonic Rush game. Speaking about the previous game, in fact it was planned to be the franchise reboot. There are, I guess, records to previous games. Gameplay-wise, it will be fine for the game being the franchise reboot. Like reusing attack partners, but that's limited. But there are story implications for it and how many returning characters there are, then it will be a lot of characters to be introduced in one game. Maybe that's another reason why they reported in for count. Yeah, it is a skippable game, not just for the story but also for the gameplay. Still, if you want to check how broken it is by yourself, then go ahead. Otherwise there is no point in playing it. If you want to play just its level, then play the latest build of Project 06, if that's the correct way to say it. Or if you want to experience the story, wait for the full version of Project 06 or just watch cutscenes on YouTube. Well, I will indifferent about it, but I could play it if there wouldn't be better games to play. I guess now I can check how Project 06 is different from Sonic 06 if it can be played with a keyboard. Or just wait when I can get a controller. But either way, anytime soon I don't plan on making a video on it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, like the video, subscribe and comment. See you next time.